The space station was old. Very old. Its metal walls were covered in rust. Lights blinked, but most of them were broken. The air smelled like oil and dust. People didn't speak here. They just survived. In the lowest levels of the station, where sunlight never reached, lived the forgotten ones. Aliens with no homes, no food, and no help. They were refugees from destroyed planets. Each day, they waited for food. But no one gave them anything. Not even a crumb. And then, one night, someone cried. A small sound. Weak, soft, almost like a whisper. It was a child's cry. In the dark corner behind an old cargo container, a little girl sat alone. Her skin was light blue, her eyes big and glowing. Her clothes were torn, her hands thin. She was shaking, hungry, cold, afraid. Her name was Lyra, but no one knew that yet. No one saw her. No one cared. Except one man. His name was Jack Carter. A human. He wasn't born on this station. He came here a few weeks ago. People said he was an ex-soldier. Some said he worked with machines. No one really knew. Jack walked down the hallway, boots echoing on the metal floor. He was carrying a bag. Inside it was food, simple things. Protein bars, water, some dry bread. He didn't plan to share it. But then, he heard the sound. The cry. He stopped. It was so quiet. He thought it might be his mind playing tricks. But then he heard it again. A soft, broken cry in the dark. He turned his head. Jack walked slowly toward the sound. He turned on a small flashlight. The beam cut through the shadows. And there she was. A little alien girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old. Too thin. Eyes full of fear. She looked up at the light and froze. Jack didn't speak at first. He crouched down. Put the flashlight on the ground. Slowly, he took a piece of bread from his bag and placed it on the floor between them. The girl didn't move. It's okay, Jack said quietly. I won't hurt you. She looked at the bread, then at him. Her hands shook. Her lips trembled, but hunger was stronger than fear. Slowly, she crawled forward. She took the bread and ate like she hadn't eaten in days. Jack didn't smile. He just watched. What's your name? He asked. She didn't answer, just looked at him with wide eyes. That's all right, Jack said. You don't have to talk. He gave her some water. She drank fast. Too fast. She coughed. Jack waited, then gave her more, slower this time. Around them, in the shadows, other eyes watched. Other refugees. Silent, curious. Jack stood up. He placed more food near the corner, not just for the girl, for others too. He looked around. I don't have much, he said aloud, but I'll come back. No one replied, but the silence felt different now. Like a small spark had lit inside the cold, dead place. As Jack turned to leave, the little girl grabbed his sleeve. He looked down. She spoke, just one word. Why? Jack paused. Then he answered. Because I heard you cry. She let go of his sleeve. Jack walked away, footsteps fading. Behind him, the little girl watched. Her hand still held the last piece of bread. Her eyes were still wide. But something had changed. Hope. For the first time in weeks. She felt hope. Asterisk. They called it Sector 9 low. But most people just called it the shadow pit. No sunlight ever touched it. No government worker ever came there. Even the guards stayed away, unless someone broke the rules or died. In Sector 9 low, silence had a weight. Pain had no voice. And hope. Hope was something only fools believed in. Until now. Jack Carter returned the next day. Just like he said, he walked through the dark halls, carrying the same old bag. His boots were silent this time. He didn't want attention. Not yet. He moved like a man with a secret. When he reached the same corner, the girl was there, waiting. She wasn't alone. 4 others stood behind her, 2 children. A very old alien with glowing green skin, and a middle-aged one with scars across his face. They all watched Jack with hungry eyes. Jack didn't speak. He opened the bag and slowly placed food on the ground. He nodded once, then stepped back. The children moved first. No one fought, no one grabbed. They just ate in silence, as if even chewing too loud might make the food disappear. The little girl, Lyra, sat closer this time. She didn't smile, but her eyes no longer looked afraid. She looked curious. Jack sat on the ground, leaning against the wall. He pulled out a protein bar for himself and took a slow bite. Then he looked at Lyra. You remember things, don't you? He asked quietly. Lyra blinked, her head tilted a little. Everything, she said. Jack raised an eyebrow. Everything. She nodded. Every word, every face, every sound. Jack leaned forward. Even where the guards go. She nodded again. Jack looked around carefully. That's going to be useful, he whispered. Lyra didn't know what he meant. Not yet. Commander Rax sat in a clean office. He had 4 arms, sharp eyes, and a voice that could silence a room. A small drone floated beside him, showing him camera footage. Jack Carter, feeding refugees. Again, Rax frowned. Why is a human helping them? He growled. Humans never help. The officer, beside him, younger, nervous, shrugged. Should we stop him? Rax leaned back. No, not yet. Let's see what he's planning. Jack returned each day, not just with food now, but with small things. Bandages, water filters, blankets, broken tools that he fixed with his own hands. Lyra watched everything. She never forgot. Every item Jack brought, every path he took. She remembered how long he stayed. She remembered which doors stayed open longer, and which guards looked lazy. And slowly, she began to speak more. This tunnel leads to the kitchen room, she whispered one evening, pointing to a small crack in the wall. Jack looked. I saw the guard code, she said. 3 times. Jack smiled a little. You're brilliant, he said. Lyra didn't know what that word meant, but she liked the way he said it. More refugees came. Word spread in whispers. The human brings food. Some still didn't trust him. Others wanted to use him. But Lyra stayed close. She watched those who got greedy. She warned Jack in soft voices, pulling his sleeve when danger was near. You've got sharp eyes, he told her once. I remember everything, she said again. Jack began to wonder how many others like her were hiding in these shadows. Children with gifts, survivors with knowledge. This place wasn't full of broken people. It was full of ignored power. And maybe, just maybe, it could rise again. One night, as Jack left Sector 9 low, a voice called from the dark. Stop what you're doing, human. 2 guards stepped out. Their eyes were cold, their hands on stun-guns. Jack didn't flinch. I'm feeding hungry children, he said. You're breaking protocol, the guard replied. These things aren't citizens, they're waste. Jack's jaw clenched. He didn't say anything. He just walked away. But something inside him burned. And deep in the corner behind a broken pipe, Lyra watched. She remembered the guards' faces, their words, their tone, and she stored it all, like a machine. Something was building in Sector 9 low. Not a fight. Not yet, but something stronger. A memory, a bond, and a spark. That spark had a name. Lyra. Static filled the screens. 1,000 cameras. 1,000 broken lives under their cold watch. Officer Krell leaned forward, sipping something that smelled like metal and ash. His long fingers tapped the screen, zooming in. There he was again. The human. Krell narrowed his eyes. Why does he keep going down there? No answer. The other guards in the room were asleep or bored. Krell wasn't. He had seen patterns before rebellions, and this felt like the start of something. He pressed a button. Tag him. Full watch. Silent protocol. The system beeped. From now on, Jack Carter was being watched. Lyra sat cross-legged on the cold floor, her hands drawing patterns in the dust. But they weren't just patterns. They were maps. She drew guard routes, supply tunnels, old escape shafts sealed long ago. Behind her, Jack stood over a broken power box, trying to fix the small lights in the sleeping area. Where did you see this tunnel? Jack asked. 3 levels down. Near the water tank, Lyra replied. He stared at the map. It was perfect. Scary, perfect. You really do remember everything. I told you, she said simply. Jack didn't smile this time. His mind was turning fast. What else do you remember? Lyra looked up. The guard with the white scar walked slower than others. Jack blinked. How do you know? I counted his steps. Jack crouched down beside her. You're not just surviving, Lyra. You're planning. She didn't reply, but in her eyes, there was fire now. Jack walked back to his tiny room above Sector 9 low. He kept his head down. But something felt wrong. Too quiet then. Just as he turned the last corner, bang. Someone grabbed him, shoved him hard against the wall. A shock went through his arm. He groaned. 2 guards, faces hidden. One whispered, "We warned you." The other punched him in the ribs. Jack dropped to his knees. No more food drops. No more games with the aliens. Jack spat blood. "Children are starving," he muttered. "They're not children," the guard said coldly. "They're leftovers." Jack looked up, rage burning in his eyes. Then maybe it's time someone cleaned the trash you left behind. The guard raised his stun stick. Jack braced. Hey. A loud crash. Something metal hit the wall. The guards turned, but no one was there. Just noise. A distraction. They ran off. Jack crawled to the wall, holding his side. From the shadows, a small hand reached out. Lyra, you followed me, he asked. Coughing, she nodded. You're not safe up here, he said. You're not safe down there, she replied. Jack laughed, even in pain. Fair point. Next day, Jack gathered 10 refugees in a quiet part of Sector 9 low. Lyra stood beside him. We have maps now, Jack said. We know guard schedules, tunnel paths, and supply rooms. Some stared, some whispered. One alien, older, with mechanical arms, stepped forward. This is dangerous. Jack nodded. Yes, they will hunt us. Jack looked around. They already are. Lyra stepped forward, holding her maps. They think we are weak. But we remember everything. We know where they sleep, where they eat, where they lie. Her voice was calm, but not for long. The silence after her words was powerful. Officer Krell watched the footage of Jack and the girl talking. He zoomed in on Lyra. This girl, he whispered. He pulled up old files, cross-matching face scans, age, skin color, eye-shape. One file blinked red. Lyra, classified species, no-motion status, high-risk memory type, absolute. Krell leaned back slowly. So the little girl remembers everything. He smiled, then pressed a red button. Prepare extraction. Team Sector 9 low. Quiet and clean. The air in Sector 9 low had changed. People looked each other in the eye now. They whispered less. They were still hungry, still tired, but now, they were ready. Lyra sat under the silver tree on her home planet. Her mother braided her hair, smiling. A warm wind moved the leaves. She held a book in her hand, the one with stars and ancient ships. Lyra, her mother whispered, never forget who you are. Then the sky turned black. Explosions, screams, ships falling from the clouds. Fire swallowed the silver trees. Soldiers marched in shadows. Her mother pushed her into a pod, crying. Remember, the door closed. The pod launched. And Lyra remembered. She always remembered. Present Sector 9 low. Jack stared at the wall, eyes wide. Lyra had just finished drawing a full map of the station's inner tunnels. From memory, every pipe, every broken light, even witch guards snored. You're not just gifted, Jack whispered. You're a weapon. Lyra didn't smile. I don't forget anything. Ever, she said. Jack sat down beside her. You've seen every corner of this place, every system, every weak point. Lyra nodded. The other refugees in the room looked at her with new eyes. Not pity, not fear, respect. Jack leaned forward. We can do more than hide. With your memory and our hands, we can take control of supplies, protect each other, change things. A quiet voice spoke up, a woman named Tesh. And what happens when they noticed? Jack didn't answer, because they already had. Officer Krell stood over a terrified mechanic. The man shook in his boots. She's an emotion. The man shouted. She's just a kid, but she remembers everything. It's not normal. Krell already knew. He wanted more. How does the human fit in? I don't know. He just helps her, brings food, medicine, fixes things. Krell's eyes narrowed, and the mechanic swallowed hard. He listens to her. That answer bothered Krell more than it should have. Lyra sat alone. Her eyes were closed, but in her mind, a movie played. Guard footsteps from 2 days ago. A door code from the northern gate. The way Jack's hand shook when he was punched. The number of bolts in the stolen oxygen crate. Everything. Stored. Connected. She opened her eyes. Her hands moved fast, drawing a plan on the dusty floor. Jack entered. Lyra, he said, you okay? She looked up. I think I can get us into the supply vault. Jack froze. What? She nodded. Food, medicine, tools, everything they keep from us. Jack sat down slowly. And you're sure? I saw the code. The wiring. The weak wall. I remember it all. Jack's mind began racing. They could feed everyone. Heal the sick. And maybe start something real. 20 refugees sat in a hidden chamber lit by a single red light. Jack stood at the front. Lyra by his side. She remembers the vault layout, Jack said. We can break in. No alarms. No cameras. Tesh crossed her arms. And what if the guards catch us? We move before they expect it, Jack said. Lyra stepped forward. They treat us like ghosts. So we'll be ghosts. Silent. Smart. A pause. Then someone clapped. Then more hope began to spread. Asterisk, a blinking red dot moved on the screen. Lyra's face tracked, tagged Krell. Turned to the soldier next to him. Bring her in now. Alive. Krell smirked. For now, asterisk, in the cold holes of Sector 9 low, stories used to end in silence. But this one was just beginning to speak. Alarms howled like wild animals. Smoke filled the air. Sparks rained from broken ceiling wires. Children screamed. Refugees ran in every direction. Jack Carter was gone. And Lyra was running. Running with the stolen plants in her hand. Running through the map she had drawn in her mind 100 times. Every step, every turn, every breath, all remembered. But even her memory couldn't save them now. Asterisk Jack stood before the old supply vault. It was quiet. Cleaner than the rest of the station. Lights worked here. Doors were thick. Metal walls. Hummed with power. Beside him, Lyra pointed at the control panel. Code is 4429 beta. The guard changed it 3 days ago. I watched from the ceiling vent. Jack chuckled. Remind me never to lie to you. She smirked. They entered. Inside were crates of food, medicine, tools, even old security gear. Enough to supply everyone in Sector 9 low for months. Jack touched one of the crates. We could live, he whispered. Really live. But outside, someone watched. Someone who had followed Jack the night before. Someone who knew how to sell secrets for a warm bed. Asterisk, in a private room above the sector. A refugee, known only as Marl, sat with Officer Krell. He didn't look like a traitor. He looked tired, thin, scared. They broke into the vault. Marl said. Krell leaned forward. How? The girl, the human. She sees everything. Krell nodded slowly. Names. Jack. And the girl's name is Lyra. Good. Marl looked up. You promised me food and a transport pass. Krell smiled, the kind of smile that never reached the eyes. And you'll get it. That night, Marl never made it to the transport gate. But Krell got what he wanted. Asterisk Jack was repairing a broken filter when the power cut out. Darkness swallowed the room. Then boom. The door burst open. 3 guards stormed in. Jack grabbed a wrench, ready to fight, but a stun shot hit his chest. He fell. Hard. Lyra, watching from above through a vent, covered her mouth. They dragged Jack away. He didn't speak, didn't fight anymore. He just locked eyes with the vent. With her. And in that silent second, she knew what he meant. Run. Asterisk the next day. Everything changed. Guards flooded the lower levels. No more hiding. No more silence. They tore down walls. Burned supplies. Broke hands. Took children. Said it was cleaning. Lyra ran from room to room, guiding people with fast whispers and sharp memory. This way, don't go left. That pipe leaks. Use the tunnel under the storage. She became the mind of the movement. But without Jack, they had no heart. Asterisk blood dripped from Jack's mouth. His hands were tied behind a steel chair. Officer Krell stood over him. You gave them hope, Krell said. Big mistake. Jack looked up, barely smiling. You're afraid of a little girl. She's not a little girl, Krell growled. She's a threat. Jack leaned forward, despite the pain. She remembers everything. And she remember you. Krell walked out, slamming the door. Asterisk in the smoke and noise. Lyra led 15 people into the deep tunnels. She had no weapons, no plan. Only memory. But that memory was sharper than any blade. As they hid, she drew again. This time, not a map, but a plan to fight back. A rebellion. Led by the girl who remembered every lie. Asterisk, they took Jack. They burned their homes. But they forgot one thing. She was still watching. The space station had no heart. No soul. Only metal and wires. But deep, in its bones, something shifted. The walls began to vibrate, not from engines, but from whispers. Boots that moved too quietly. Doors that opened without alerts. Voices that no longer begged, but planned. Something was coming. The old machine could feel it. Asterisk, her hands were black with engine oil. Her face was tired, eyes sharp. She stood in front of a crowd, hidden in the lower tunnels. Not just children anymore. Grown aliens, elders, injured ones, all watching her. In her hands, a rough map drawn in oil and ash. This is the North Power Loop, Lyra said. One cut here, and all security lights will fail for 6 minutes. A murmur spread. You can remember all that? One asked. I already did, she replied. I don't guess. I know. They believed her now. Not because she looked strong, but because she always knew where to go, and they always came out alive. His cell was cold, his ribs broken, his hands tied. But Jack Carter hadn't given up. Each day, he whispered to himself, not words of escape, words Lyra needed to remember. Left door hums louder, it leads to the engine shaft. Guard with limp walks slow, he always turns left. Exit vent, above level 12, short drop. Cold air, he spoke them again and again, because he knew one thing. Lyra would find him, and she would need this data. Lyra stood beside a panel in a forgotten corridor. Her fingers moved fast. Wires sparked, then click. The north lights died. Guards shouted. Above Lyra gave the signal. In 3 places across the station, refugees moved. One group stole medical supplies, another shut down a surveillance hub, the third, led by Tesh, planted explosives near the water control pipes. Each move was fast, clean, silent. By the time the lights came back, it was over. The guards had no clue what hit them. The camera room was chaos. Krell barked orders. Where's the power feed? Why is the surveillance room dark? Someone rewired it. Sir, how? We don't know. Krell stared at the blank screens. They're organizing, he muttered. A pause. They have a leader. Back in the tunnels. Lyra stood beside a cracked speaker panel. She picked up an old cum line and connected a wire. All across the lower decks, an old speaker hummed, and then her voice. This is not a request. This is not a prayer. This is a warning. You took our food, our families, our homes. You took Jack, but you forgot. I remember everything. The refugees froze as her voice echoed. Even the guards heard. It even Krell. The girl was no longer hiding. She was declaring war. Lyra unrolled a dirty sheet across the floor. It showed the whole station drawn from memory. We have 12 hours until they seal the lower decks, she said. We use the tunnels. We take back the vents. We control food flow, water, air. We control the station. Eyes lit up. No one asked if it was possible, because somehow, when Lyra said it, it felt real. The station groaned. Lights flickered. The machine above didn't understand what was rising below, but it would soon, because the fight had begun, and it was being led by a child who never forgot. Not the usual silence of sleeping pipes or tired machines. This silence was different. It was the silence before thunder, before war. Above, in command, Deck 1, guards checked weapons and locked gates. Orders were shouted in every direction. Below, in the shadow tunnels, forgotten people stood shoulder to shoulder, holding tools, pipes, stolen stun guns, sharpened metal scraps. At the front stood a girl, small. Still, eyes like memory itself. Lyra, she didn't move, didn't blink. She simply said, now. Lights exploded. Doors jammed open. From vents and cracks and tunnels they poured out. The refugees, the lost, the ignored guards turned too late. Confused, outnumbered. Lyra's people didn't scream. They moved like a machine, because she had trained them step by step, code by code. They weren't an army. They were memory made real. 2 levels up. In a steel prison cell, Jack Carter lay chained. He could hear the sounds faint at first, then louder. Booms. Shouts. He smiled through the blood. She did it, he whispered. Suddenly the wall near his cell sparked. A voice crackled through the panel. Back up, he did. Boom. A small explosion blew the panel wide open. Smoke cleared. There she stood, Lyra. Covered in dirt. Eyes bright. Jack, she said softly. Took you long enough. He grinned. She rushed forward and untied him. You remembered, he said. I always do, she replied. Officer Krell watched the station fall apart around him. His guards were scattered. His systems hacked. He grabbed his rifle and opened the final override. Seal all lower levels. Suck the air out. End this now. But nothing happened. A voice answered through the command blocked. Krell froze. Then a second voice came on. Lyris, you tried to erase us, but you forgot. I'm the system now. Jack. And Lyra ran through the command deck, now held by her people. She pointed. That way. Emergency bridge. Krell appeared, gun raised. You, he screamed. Jack stepped in front of her, but Lyra moved first. She threw a metal rod at the control panel. Sparks flew. Krell fired, but the power surge knocked him off his feet. Jack rushed forward, grabbed the rifle, and pointed it back at him. It's over, Krell sneered. You think they'll let a child run this place? She's not a child, Jack said. She's history. Asterisk. 1 day later, the entire station, top to bottom, heard a new voice, broadcast through every speaker. Lyra stood in front of the mic. This place will no longer belong to the powerful few. It belongs to all of us now. To those who were ignored, left behind, broken. From today forward, we remember each other. We protect each other. And we rise. Asterisk. Jack sat on the edge of the station, staring out into space. Quiet, peaceful. Lyra sat beside him. He looked at her. You started a revolution. She shook her head. You did. He smiled. All I did was listen. She nodded slowly. That was enough. A pause. Then, quietly, she whispered, no one gave us even a crumb, until the human heard me crying. Jack put his hand on her shoulder, and for the first time, they didn't feel small anymore. They felt seen. Asterisk. In the end, it wasn't a weapon, or a war, or a machine that changed everything. It was a memory, and someone who finally chose to listen.